it's really important that we begin to change the mindset of young people to know that your vote counts.
They don't understand that the legislative arm of government is actually a co-equal arm of government.
We have an incredible amount of potential.
Whatever it is I was doing, because of my personal DNA, it had to be of an international standard.
Which is what, seriously speaking, is all about. Yes, hello there. This is Seriously Speaking. As always on this show, it's about making change in lives by the issues that we discuss or the issues around the people that we bring on the set. Another quarter begins this April, and I start by presenting to you today 3 people I see as leading lights. Light, they say, illuminates. Not when it illuminates, anybody who comes in its path finds a direction and a way to go. So it's beyond just the light. They're beyond themselves. I have 3 people, those 3 people I mentioned, 2 ladies and 1 man, who will be showing us direction in the area of motivation, activism, and constructive change. They are the first in what I call my series titled Leading Lights. If you take a break, we'll meet the very first person on the show today. Don't go away. Like I say, this is Seriously Speaking, and I remain Adesuwa Onyenokwe. Stay tuned. Yes, welcome back. My first guest is somebody I met maybe about 10 years ago, but I met her name and saw her in the papers before I met her physically. And when I met her physically, I was quite fascinated by her mode of dressing. Trousers and a shirt and a pair of slippers, which I refer to as salubata. Her name is Okei-Odumakin, and she is, well, welcome to the show. Thank you.
Yes. Before we continue with you, I want them to play back very quickly the first time Jo was recognized by the American Society as a woman of courage, beyond the fact that TW also recognized her as a woman of verve.
Exactly.
So play a little bit of that. I will come back to meet Jo live in the studio and speak with her about what it takes to be a leading light.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the First Lady of the United States, Michelle Obama, the Secretary of State, John Kerry, Mrs. Teresa Heinz Kerry, and Undersecretary of State, Wendy Sherman, accompanied by the 2013 International Women of Courage Award recipients.
During the past 20 years in Nigeria, Dr. Josephine Odumakin has handled more than 2,000 cases of government security agencies violating women's rights. These cases include everything from negligence to assault and killings. As the president of the Campaign for Democracy, she has personally led almost every protest, march, lecture, and workshop to encourage the rule of law and democracy in Nigeria. She has been arrested or detained 17 times, but she has never stopped crusading for the rights of the Nigerian people. For exceptional courage, strength, and leadership, in tirelessly advocating for human rights, social justice, and women's equality and advancement in Nigeria, Dr. Josephine Odumakin is a woman of courage.
And as the popular saying goes,
The struggle continues.
Now, Jo is not Joseph.
No.
What is Jo?
Josephine.
Who named you Josephine? Daddy, mommy?
Yeah, mommy, Josephine.
Okay.
But then I wanted to be a nun. But
You wanted to be a nun?
Because my parents were staunch Catholic.
Okay.
So my father threatened he was going to disown me. But the Reverend Sister encouraged me, and our missionary, our teacher said, it's just your earthly father, let him disown you. Then my dad came back again and said, not only will I disown you, but I'll place your obituary on 2 national dailies, so that when people see you, they will run. So I was too young then. I then started crying at night. So I made up my mind that I will continue, I will further my studies. And that was why I went for my A-levels. And my father told Dr. Acho then that my daughter will live with you, clock in and clock out. I did that for about a week. It was too tedious for me.
What city was this?
It was Kwara State College of Technology, now Kwara State Polytechnic in Ilorin.
Okay.
So the director of school-based studies, Dr. Acho. So I went there, and then I told my dad, I said,
I won't go back to the missionary. So my dad took me to the hostel, and then a notebook was open for me. I decided to clock in and out every day. And that was how it was until one day that I just saw Rethink Nigeria, a left-wing movement. And I went for their meetings. I sat down. The agenda, there was no opening or closing prayer. So I raised up my hand. They said, yes, newcomer, what is your observation? I said, there's no opening or closing prayer. I said, who brought this thing here? We are talking about serious national issues. This one is talking about prayer. Throw her out. So they threw me out. After about 3 weeks, one of them saw me and said, Reverend Sister, we'll put that on the agenda, come. I went there. This time around, my notebook, my slippers, and they threw me out. So I didn't go back there again until a year after that, when I got to the University of Ilorin, when one of the lecturers mentioned my matriculation number after a test. So very strict lecturer. So I went there to see her. And she said I scored very high marks in my test. And she asked me, why are you called Reverend Sister? I said, are you a stammerer? I said, no, be confident in yourself. I said, yes, I want to be a nun. I want to be married to Jesus. So she showed me all the books on her shelf and then gave me one on Martin Luther King. One quotation changed my life, which is, our lives begin to end the day we keep silent about things that matter. So I started reading the books. I read about Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, Karl Marx, several books. And since then, I became born again in the struggle. Prepared my will. And since then, because anything I'm committed to, either passion, even wanting to be a nun there, I could read the Bible. There are several things that I like to do. So I became born again in the struggle. I'm much more committed in seeing a Nigeria that works and in ending that time military dictatorship in Nigeria.
This was in 83, 84?
83,
I mean,
84.
you were barely 18.
Yes.
So,
yes.
I mean, what is it about, because I'm wondering, being a leading light means you're lighting the path for people. Consciously, you were not thinking about being a light, were you?
I wasn't. It was just, I just believed in myself. I had the passion, the commitment, the zeal. And whatever I was doing, I never knew that anyone even took notice of it. Mm-hmm. Even the first election I contested in, we had like 4...
That's on campus,
yes, on
campus. Students' Union.
Yes, Student Union, on campus. Manifesto night then, it's not like these days. You speak to students, lecturers, why do you want to take up such positions? So when it was my turn, 2 people had already spoken.
What position were you running for?
Secretary General of Women in Nigeria. Then. So when it was my turn, I took the platform. Then I started quoting, make reference to Rosa Parks. Before I got halfway, there was...
The hall was erupting.
The hall erupted, and then there was a standing ovation. And that was how it began. I then prepared my will. I called BC. I have mattress.
Who is
I have
BC?
Books. BC used to be one of us at Olagbe, a lawyer then. And
Guy
I said,
or girl?
A man. A man. So I told him that if anything happens, in case I die, that I have some books, it should be given to University of Ilorin Library. Then I had, I think, 1 small mattress and 2 pillows. It should be given to the motherless babies.
What was that first thing you did? You went to put posters on, around town asking for an end to dictatorship?
Yes, because like I said, Adesuwa, anything I believe in, I want to be at the forefront. Stay where the battle is the hottest. Not that I will send out people on assignment and I will go back. So what I did then was prepare a bowl of custard and then starch. Mix everything together. So we then put it in buckets, and I went to the army headquarters, the barracks, sorry, in the Ilorin there. So they had problem with one of their lights, security lights. I was in black, so I had IBB go, and IBB was in power. So I told the guys that they should move in case I'm shot dead, so that they can report that our body, where they can find my body. So I pasted one. The second one, I had the voice of somebody who was coming to ease himself. So I had to quietly, I just lay down there. Unfortunately for me, the guy came to the side I was and started urinating on my head and mouth. So I had to close my eyes. He was tipsy. So when he finished, he wanted to move, he stepped on my thigh. And he said, wow, big snake, bring touch. So I couldn't move. So at the time the person ran and brought the touch, that he collected it, and he saw Ibibi's face crossed. He saw me on the floor. When he picked me up, the first blow I received, I knew about 1 or 2 of my teeth just flew out. And then the second one, it poured starch on me. So I became unconscious. It was later on when I regained consciousness, starch. I was like stockfish. And I was begging, my skin was even peeling. And I was like that for 3 days.
And you were wearing a skirt?
I was wearing a skirt. That's the thing I even forgot to say. And my skirt was torn into shreds. And I was there, I couldn't get anything.
It must have been like a stick if you are like this now.
Yes, and then I was so tiny, very tiny. So they put me under somewhere I could not even get up. So, and I was there trying to cover myself. And as soon as I got out of the place, I said, never will I put on a skirt. I will never, ever.
And since then, you have been wearing trousers.
Yes.
And you always wear black.
Yes, I wear black because I have like maybe 14 or 15 blacks. So I always change it. That's just what I like. It's one of my favorites.
It's comfortable, and there's no... Because you've been arrested 17 times.
Yes, I've been arrested 17 times. And all those, my baptism inside that. And I was very good in martial arts. So at times, I try to defend myself. Like on May 16, 2004, then, I think Obasanjo was in power at Campus Square. If not for the intervention of Professor Olajumoke, I was seriously slapped. Ganifa Ami fell on top of Sockaway. Bekora and Kuti's glasses got broken. So I was the one speaking. When I was slapped, it was as if it was...
Stars.
Yes. Then my ears blocked immediately. So while the guy was slapping, I tried to defend myself. Then he wanted to shoot me. It was then Professor Olajumoke heard him and said, don't shoot her, don't kill her. Before they then said they arrested myself, Professor Olajumoke Femi Aborishade.
What was that? What was that protest for that time?
It was end to civilian dictatorship at Campus, where at Campus Square, Obasanjo was the one in power. So Citizen Forum, Professor Olajumoke as a convener, I chaired the task force of Citizen Forum. So we had crowd there, took over the Campus Square. But before then, our stage had been broken, everything destroyed, and they told us we could not go. Okay,
so tell me, what is it that makes you who you are? Because sometimes people say she's special. I mean, everybody can't be like that. Because when you started this course, for example, you were the only female in a huge crowd, and you still remain largely one of the few females in this field.
Yes, I think it's just confidence. There was no time I ever suffered low self-esteem, no matter what. And then being well-informed. Information, when we are discussing state of the nation, when we want to write press release. In fact, when Dr. Bekora Kuti was around as the Assistant Secretary General of Campaign for Democracy, anything I write, he can close his eyes and sign. So one will be informed the level of articulation, conviction, commitment, articulation. There's nowhere that I go to, I don't need. In fact, when some of them see me, they won't even know I'm the one. They will say, I'm sure when I'm arrested and I refuse to talk, they didn't know that the only secret then was that if I don't brush my teeth, I'll feel so heavy. So by then, not brushing for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and they want to interrogate me, I'll just be quiet. Then they'll ask me, do you want anything to drink or sniff? I just say, please, I need toothbrush and toothpaste. So the thing is, when one is convinced, and then the passion itself, because honestly, my happiest moment, my birthday, is when I'm going for a rally. I'm at the forefront, I'm moving, I'm going. When we are tear gas, I'll take kerosene that we used to wipe my... Yes.
Your device means to survive.
Yes, so even one of the very first programs we were to have in Abraham Adesuwa's office, I felt funny, and on my way, I went to see the doctor. He said, this is labor. I said, doctor...
Yes, we must talk about that. People think you're not married. You're married with 2 lovely kids.
Yes,
and the children are even,
Yeah, one is 16, and the other, the last one is 13.
Boy and a girl. When they see you, what do they say?
Well, they just, before, they used to call me comrade, and after they changed to doctor.
So they don't call you mommy or something?
No. And in those days, because it's the last one that is with me here, I've stopped going a bit for the Parents-Teacher Association meeting. Because when I go, it's more or less like state of the nation. What is happening? What is that, So I don't really want to divert attention. So I stopped, going. But they just see me like...
Well, you also teach?
Yes, I do, part-time. because one of the things I liked was being in the university system. But one of the times I was going to take up full-time job, that was the time, that was 96, as soon as I completed my PhD. And I was to...
did you do PhD in guidance counseling or is it in education that you did?
Okay, yes, history and philosophy of education. My first degree, yes, English education, then psychology, then another one in guidance and counseling, then PhD, history and philosophy of education. So, in fact, before then, I loved part-time teaching, but at this moment, I teach contract teaching in and outside the country.
What do you teach those students? Do you teach them a Luther Continua?
Yes, I mean, what I want to teach, like Iran studies, philosophy, I make sure that 15 minutes before the end of the lecture, they will close their notes and then we discuss world politics, if it's outside the country, if it's within. We discuss, I mean, how to make that change and how to make themselves better citizens. And I let them realize that I'm just like them. And no matter what, even in life, there were some people that were my role models that I'd never seen. You know, so, but 1986 was the first time I met 3 great people. In 1986, I met Dokun Adedeji. He was going to see Chief Ganifa and me. I followed him. I met Chief Ganifa and me. And Beko said, do you want me to drop you out of Jota because I need to see my brother Fela? I said, it's Fela that I really want to see. And I went there, I saw Fela. And seeing Fela, although speaking with and discussing for about 5-10 minutes, when I was leaving, the whole building was turning upside down. I had to sit down somewhere, you know, because of the smoke was blowing. But I learned a lot of things about Fela. Fela was so consistent. He hated military dictatorship as an aberration. He does not want betrayal. He believes in consistency.
And that's close. That's what you believe in.
Yes.
I wonder though, do you see yourself being replicated? You know, to be like you, you know, what should drive a human being? As we round up with you now.
Because the only success, I have people that I mentor. Even during my award that I met Mrs. Obama, I saw a lot of young girls that came in from White House that she introduced to me. So I have lots of girls and even boys that I met in higher institutions. Some of them report in my office because I don't want my own generation to be wasted. So I want people, I've told them, don't always say, I want to be like Joe. What does she do differently? But just one should be oneself. And wherever one finds oneself, like you are here, you are a positive role model, you are a clear example, and a lot of people look on there at Adesuwa. She's always very confident. Her own presentation is distinct. I mean, you've anchored several programs for us, and people keep talking about you. So there are a lot of distinct things that people...
See what you have.
Yes. So whatever one has, one should make good use of it. And one will always excel in life.
Selflessness, because you are not afraid to die. And yes, you are still alive.
Yes, because, I mean, I would just say, my people are afraid of death, you know. I've been shot on my leg. I've gone through several incarcerations. I had terrible ulcer one time because I refused to eat for days. You know, but one day, after the ailment just went, I had terrible skin problem, not bathing for almost 9 months. It was Chief Ganifa who flew me out. They had to deal with my skin and everything. So I'm not afraid of death because I just believe that one day one will die. And whatever it is, I believe this great country of ours is worth dying for.
Thank you very much, Joe, for being with us. I appreciate you. I can spend a whole hour, but I don't want to shortchange my guests by just doing all of that. We'll spend time again on some other editions of the show. I appreciate you. Go, and like I would say, Aluta Continua.
Thank you.
So we'll stay tuned and we'll be back with our next guest on the show today. We are doing one-on-ones with all of them. Don't go away. Yes, my next one-on-one guest is somebody that can be described in one word, awesome. Awesome also describes the work that she does through a faith-based NGO she runs. And awesome also describes her academic excellence in architecture and professional excellence as well. And it's my pleasure to bring my second leading light in this series that will be running the whole of this season, Olajumoke Adenowo. I asked her to walk in because she's got a show-stopping figure. I had to do that to you. Hi, Leia. Nice to have you. I'm so glad to have you
I'm
on
happy
the set.
to be here.
It's like we're not like soul sisters.
And then you're toasting me about figure.
Well, you've got a great figure.
Thank you.
I mean, but I'm sure people have told you that.
I hear.
For somebody who was born again at age 11, how old were you when you were born again? Remember?
11, you're so accurate. You don't
see?
forget anything.
I don't.
Wow.
You were 11 when it was like a word that adults would bandy, and then there's an 11-year-old says she's born again.
It was the best way to go. It was easier. It made my life easier and smoother.
Really?
It saved me a lot of trouble.
Did it protect you from all the disturbances by young men on campus later in life?
They're still disturbed, but
because you're good looking.
I could say no. Oh, thank you. You're so sweet.
It's nice to have you, really, because, I mean, in talking about leading lights, we're talking about people who illuminate others. You know, when lights is on, it's not just about themselves. This woman, when I invited her to be on the show, she was more particular about having all the women that she has been able to support, let them come and tell their story. And I said, Jumoke, it's about you. We would tell those stories some other time.
I hope.
You know, and in setting up awesome treasures. Okay, let me go back a little bit. What's it like being a first-class architect, first-class graduate?
Well, I thank God. It's, to me, I think it places a lot of expectation on you, especially the academic part. If you came out well, all of a sudden you expect you're supposed to make a difference, make an impact. So for me, what it does is places me under pressure to make sure I meet up to expectations. So that's what it is like for me. I find the awards validating, especially the international ones. It's quite validating because we live in a country where merit is not always the way to go, you know? There's a lot of nepotism and all that. So having the international community validate me has been really, it's been great. I thank God for it.
When the CNN African Voices, I mean, reached out to you asking that you be a guest, what did you think?
Well, I didn't know first that they reached out to people. You understand? We never knew they did.
People pay to go.
To be frank, I mean, since it's you, we can be very frank. So I was actually shocked. So they came to our office, and within minutes, they had sent to Atlanta, done whatever they had to do. And they said, it's never been approved that fast before. And they approved and said, we'll do it. Do I have time? And I was like, do I have time? I think I have time. I can squeeze out the time for that.
I also remember, because, I mean, you've been on the cover of TW magazine, the magazine I published, so I know a little bit more than other people who are watching right now. Except, of course, they can go online and buy that magazine.
It's still for sale.
It's still available. But I know that you've always carried people around you, from children, you know, as a young student on campus, you were gathering the children there to be teaching them about Christ. Did I make you blush?
No. I just thought you knew that because somehow the interviewee
turned out to be one of the girls.
Yes, to be one of the girls. It just shows that you never know the impact you are making when you're just doing your thing.
Well, I mean, that girl said, are you the auntie? They used to call you Auntie Jumoke that time. That my sister, and she called her sister in America and said, guess who I see here?
Yes.
What did that make you feel like? Because
you know, I've got goosebumps. Anytime I see people who have passed through, should I say my ministry or Awesome Treasures, a lot of them, Midnight Crew, Jody, even Cobans at some point, OCUK, Jalala, Kakidoju, there's so many, so my essays to governors.
Sarah, who's working with you now.
Yes, it makes me feel that this is what life is about. Life is about making a difference. It's about making an impact. Nobody is going to remember you as fine as you are yesterday, so nobody's going to remember you for your figure or anything.
No,
just your
impact.
That's
an awesome treasure. I had to show myself.
Yes, an awesome treasure event.
We went the Real Men
The Real Men about 2 years ago already. So it's about impact. Life is about impact, not about you. It's about impact.
But when you set out to start Awesome Treasure Foundation, you're an excellent architect. AD Consulting is one of the top consulting firms.
Thank you.
It is, you know that. You know, and yet you had time to set up something called Awesome Treasures. What was driving you?
Well, the truth is, look, I've done everything they said an African woman should do.
You're young too. I must tell them your age.
I don't feel young, but we'll come back to that later. You know, I've done everything. They said, go to school. I did. Marry. I did. Have a child. I did. I even had the African boy. You understand? And still, there was this void within me because I knew I had a purpose, and the purpose was to impact people, to help them find their own purpose so that we could impact others and make this nation a better place. It must start one at a time. Therefore, I just wasn't fulfilled. And how do you fake happiness? How do you fake fulfillment? The only way I feel fulfilled is making a difference. It's not, acquisitions don't do anything for me. It's very short-lived. You know, but when it comes to
But
seeing
they're
somebody
nice.
else, like, well, it has its place. There's a level of poverty you shouldn't go below. But, you know, apart from that, at the end of the day, how much money can anyone have? How much money makes a difference?
So, I mean, when being described as a leading light, what does that mean to you? Because light is like opening the path up for others, you know, and it seems that's what your work is all about.
It means a lot to me. It's very deep. It means that I show the way to others, I impact others, I bring brightness, I bring happiness. So that's a very flattering title to give me. Thank you.
You have illuminated a lot of lives. You must give me a couple of examples. There's one lady that comes to your activities now with 2 bus loads of participants.
Actually, 3 or 4. Then she says they lap themselves, the way she
to
puts
come
it.
in from Ajegule or wherever.
Yes, it's Elizabeth Paul. Elizabeth is very dear to my heart because Elizabeth is the quintessential awesome treasure. She has the DNA, you know. Awesome treasures is not about class or structure or, you know, that kind of thing. Elizabeth walked in from Ajegule once, and as I was speaking, she was making noise. She go, tell them, Mama. I was like, who is this? You know, but she said what happened was that it was like the lion in her awoke, something sleeping, woke up, and that she had been brought to Lagos her auntie said, come to school, but it ended up that they used her to hawk Ewa going. So she would work in Bukas, and then she was a
Where is
house
she
help.
from?
She's from Togo. That's a good question.
Wow.
So she was actually know what you do with exactly. So that's what she was brought in for. And then she said she actually now came for Awesome Treasures and had me speaking.
Did she tell you how she got there? Because I always wonder, how did she know about Awesome Treasures?
I don't know who invited her. But you know, Awesome Treasures is one-on-one. We don't have a publicity budget.
Yes,
so
I'm
somebody
wondering,
must
yes.
have invited her. And she came in and had me speak. And then she said, I can do something. I don't, because she's not lettered, she's illiterate. I don't have to continue to cry because I didn't go to school. I can make a difference. And now what she has is she's got a school for interiors. She's a contract interior person. She furnishes hotels.
So she's good with her hands.
Yes, and she teaches graduates. She has a whole complex, and that's where she works out from in Ajegule, and then she's become a community leader. So people follow her. That's why she can bring 4 bus loads. And then the beautiful thing is that it has not ended with Elizabeth. Elizabeth has mentored Christy Amisa. Christy Amisa has gone on to start a program for young teenagers in Olodiapapa. That's a funky name for that, in Olodiapapa. And she would go door to door asking, you know, parents to give them her youth. She teaches them hair grooming, how to fix telephones and all that. So they have skills that they can make money from. So Christy Amisa is a 3rd generation awesome treasure.
That must make you
the
feel like
whole
a
idea.
proud grandmama.
Honestly, I have a lot of grandbabies these days. It's very validating because that's the whole idea. You are transformed, you translate the transformation to societal impact, and you transfer that impact to somebody else who transfers to another. It's like a ripple. The whole idea is a ripple effect.
So we can now describe Awesome Treasures, or you, as that stone that was cast into water to create the ripple.
Thank you.
Now, did you drop
It's
from the
good to
sky?
be seen as a stone.
You're a stone. You're a stone. Be that stone that's casting that ripple that is going all the way to Asia, wherever it is. You started talking to men a couple of years ago, looking for the real men. Why that?
Because at the end of the day, leadership begins at home. Awesome Treasures is about raising transformational leaders. But where does a man's leadership begin? From leading his own family. And quite a few men, sadly, because you've seen domestic abuse, the battered women and everything, it's so clear that quite a few men are not even leading their own homes. So we're asking, where are the real men? Because all of a sudden, I hear, I've never seen one, of men who actually...
Your husband is one, come on.
But no, I'm saying I've never seen one case of what I want to describe now.
Yes.
Which is a man who knows that his girlfriend has another aristo and is collecting money from her for the aristo. Strange things that never happened in my time and your time are happening. So we need to ask, where are the real men like Mr. Adenowo and the real men like the people I bring to talk about being a real man? The definition of what a real man is constantly shifting. Men have to remember again, what does it mean to be a man?
And people are asking for more, so it's not like it's a part of the... Every year we expect Awesome Treasures.
Every July we have to roll out another Where Are the Real Men and go with the telescope and try and look for a few real men to bring.
So for you, if Olajumoke Adenowo was to answer the maker's call, what would be the thing that would remain after her?
First, there will be this satisfaction that every day What I was told to do, I did it that day. No regrets. 2, there are people carrying the DNA. People have bought into the vision. When I look at the young people we used to talk to, have 5,000 full auditoria, it's awesome in those days, and what they're doing now, they caught it. They understand that leadership is a platform, it's not elective position. Leadership is inspirational influence, being able to make somebody else do what they should do, because that is the preferred, it will take us to the preferred future. And then you know who won't die? At the end of the day, you are born a person, but at a point, you should become a mission. Hopefully you become a movement. When you become a movement, you become an ideology. Nobody can kill you after that.
So the awesome ideology is what we live with. I mean, you're leaving us with the awesome ideology today. You can be the best that you can be, but more importantly, impact others. Thank you very much for being my guest on the show. And we must think how we're going to include awesome treasures in Seriously Speaking going forward. I'm catching you there live on TV. We must do this together sometime.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Because we stand for the same thing.
By God's grace.
Advancement. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being with us. And thank you. That's my second one-on-one guest. Don't go away. I'll be back with the constructor. That was the motivator. Yes, Jumoke is indeed awesome. My next guest is just as awesome, but he's working in the area of helping to reconstruct people's lives through what is called KDAM, Christ Against Drug Abuse Ministry. That was an initiative of the Redeemed Christian Church of God in Lagos. But for the past 21, 22, 23 years, this man who is a medical doctor has spent his life trying to help people get out of the dark hellhole that drug abuse and addiction is. And it's a fast-growing problem in Nigeria. At least in the past 20 or 23 years I've been doing, more than 1,000 people have been able to pass out from what they have been doing. He's my next guest on this Leading Light edition. His name is Dr. Dokun Adedeji. It's nice to have you here.
My pleasure.
I mean, we've done this on the magazine, but I just wanted to do this on TV,
Thank you.
What does it feel like to be described as a leading light? You're a light.
Honestly, I get humbled by such, even when some of my friends say that to me, that what are you doing? But honestly, I really don't see it in that light as if I'm doing it for a purpose. It's just my life. It's just what I like to do.
Is that why you studied medicine?
Not really. I love medicine. I just studied medicine also to be able to help in some sense. But since I strayed, I would say, into this rehab and then helping people with drug, honestly, it's been for me tremendous. And it gives me joy and satisfaction. So when I want to sleep at night, I can sleep with a smile that I've done today for someone that you thought would never make it and can be a man or a woman again. So it's a tremendous feeling, but I'm humbled by the fact that I'm a leading light.
But even though you're a sucked out leading light, you're completely sucked out because your whole life is for these people. And at the last graduation that I was at, I heard all of them, as soon as I called Doxy, if I call you Doxy, it was Bosa, Bosa, Bosa. These are people who were the first level of graduation. How does it work? This your whole...
What we do is we take people twice a year, March and August. We go to the joints. Right now, we don't really go to the joints too many times because people have come to know us. They come of their own volition. Families bring them. Institutions send them, particularly some universities, they send their students to us for rehab so that upon certification, they can return to their courses and pass out. And quite a number have passed out. The last graduation of a particular university, about 8 passed out, and in very good grades. So now what we do the interview, we take them, it's a 6 months to 1 year program. 6 months for professionals, for undergraduates, because they have something to go back to. For a year, for those who've been on drugs on the street for many years, they've lost their vocation, they can walk again. So we give them an opportunity of vocational training, and then they can learn a trade. In conjunction with the families, they can settle down again to an independent, drug-free life. That's the way it works.
So tell me, I'm sure it's because you're a Christian, or it's just the way you are.
I think, to be honest with you, I think it's just where and his family background. I didn't get to be a Christian. When you say Christian, born again Christian, until about 1991. But one thing that I will never forget, after I got born again, thinking about my life in Ife and all the things that one had done, Then I said to God, I really want to know why you saved me. I lost a few of my friends in the process of our rascality. So I said to God, I would like to know why you saved me. Believe me, I'll tell you Adesuwa, until I walked into Kadam, I didn't appreciate it. It was when I got in here, I began to understand why God saved me.
No wonder, you're just as rascally as some of them.
See, that's what Femi says to me at Toyebi. He says, Dogzy, you are still but you are like one of your people, but that's the way you can get to them. Because one of the things they love is to identify with them. I don't smoke. I've never smoked before. I've never drank before. But the thing is, when you're down to earth, they're very good people, very intelligent people, very nice and warm. They just need a little bit of understanding. And when they can say it, because they're very perceptive, the moment they feel it, it oozes out. They see your devotion, they see your love, they give all.
The tendency is for us to think that people who end up on drugs and things like that, people who are just useless people, they have no control, they have no discipline.
I think those are some of the things my ministry and myself are trying to change, so that people understand that even nice people, so in quotes, people living in Lekki or anywhere that you may choose to say, they do drugs. So it's not like that. It's not simple like that. Sometimes it is a character flaw that leads them, but many times they are innocently led into what they never knew. You can imagine somebody who goes to a party, and then usually in parties of today, you see people sit. Some people come from some dark corners. You wonder where they come. If you go check, those are very secret places where big boys go. And then they are the ones who take the drugs. And then somebody says, we are big boys. And he wants to be a big boy because of lack of self-esteem and peer pressure. And that's it. And it takes sometimes only once. Only the first time, and that's it.
And I hear drugs are very easily available on our streets.
Absolutely. Look, you know what I say to people? Drugs today is like pure water. Believe me, if I take you down this street, I will point to you 2-3 places where they can sell drugs. It's so commonplace, and that also leads to pressure on people, because if something is so available, then it makes its use possible. And so I think Nigeria needs to wake up. And also some of these things I'm doing is a wake-up call for Nigeria, because we're too careless. We do not see things before it hits us in the face. I tell you, Adesuwa, in 5 years, if we do nothing, it will become an epidemic. We are moving to what
are the kinds of things you're seeing? Are you having to turn people back because you can't afford to keep everybody in the house?
Yeah, let me tell you, for instance, a child stays in the house, he sniffs methylated spirit. The parents may never know. A woman came to me and said, look, we find out that methylated spirit in our house, we don't find it. I say, your son is sniffing it. I say, you want to test it? When you buy it, let him know you just bought, then hide it. She did it. Then the boy came to where's the methylated? Because he sniffs it. People sniff gum. They sniff glue, petrol, diesel, benylin with codeine, all this cough syrup with codeine stuff. It is one of the major things that students now use. That's why you see, in our ministry, you see Coca-Cola and you see benylin with codeine. What they do is, they buy the Coca-Cola, remove a bit of it, and then put like 2-3 bottles of benylin with codeine or Pacalin or Tutolin or Emzolin, as long as it has this codeine, and then you think they're drinking Coke or La Casera. They're taking drugs. It's as simple as that. Today, people used to take marijuana.
I thought that was it, though.
People thought there was it. Marijuana today is small level. It's probably one of the lowest levels. So what people do with marijuana now, they call one skunk, which is the street name is skunk. They call it SK.
Is it a weed?
No, it's a combination of marijuana, dry leaves, and then a bit of cocaine. And then they put it together, it becomes skunk. So it gives a higher level of high than ordinary marijuana. So that's why you see people do a bit of experimentation until they get to one that suits them. I was talking in a particular church one day to some of the young students. A boy raised up his hand and said to me, hey, my classmates sniff Nutri-C. I said, Nutri-C? He said, yes. You will be shocked. But you see, the thing that boys and girls are doing today is this. They're experimenting. So anything that catches their fancy and then that trips them becomes...
The only thing is to get a high, I suppose.
The problem we give them is just to get a high. And so anything, you know, getting a high is a perception. It is not as if it's true. But the thing is, you get something and it gives you a floating feeling, a feeling that is different from your normal, a feeling that gives you a superhuman preposition. And then you think it's something. And then because it's different, and that's it.
So you permit me to take a break so that I can come back and we sit down there. Let's examine the issue of this drug abuse and to show that there really is hope. And also, hopefully, help people to see what you do and maybe support it. Welcome back. It's our Leading Light series, and the Leading Light we're bringing to the panel today is Dr. Dokun Adedeji. Doxy to all the lives that he has changed and to friends that knew him from way back in Ife. On this segment of the show, I want to be able to address the issue of addiction, and that addiction is not necessarily the end of your life. You know, there's hope after addiction. That's why Dr. Adedeji has come into the studio today with two people that have been helped to get out of it, and they're now working with the ministry, which is called Christ Against Drug Abuse Ministry, at the behest of the Redeemed Christian Church of God here in Lagos. But it's beyond Christianity.
Oh, it is.
You know,
absolutely. We take anyone who has an issue, and then they come. But the only thing is, Christ is our cornerstone. We will love it if the person becomes a Christian, because we think taking drugs away from you will leave a vacuum. Then we fill it with Jesus Christ. So it's a choice. But we see all manner of people from everywhere, even from abroad, right? We have people from African countries as well.
Right. Have come.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I find it interesting, though. Your wife must be, we must give her an award, you know, because your life is this ministry.
Honestly, I must commend her. I mean, I like you saying this and make it open. She's just giving me the leeway to do this. As long as I say it's Kadam, and she's come quite a number of times to even give lectures to her beneficiaries, and she loves it. She can understand it, she can see it. Because some of the people that come visiting us in the house who are former beneficiaries, she's taking to them, they can come when I'm not there. And she can even cook. I mean, yes, she deserves an award.
So in other words, there's a support. I mean, there's no leading light that can really be that light without some kind of support. Yours is your faith and your family.
Absolutely.
And then today, this family. We have some members of your family here.
Yes.
Because these guys work for KDAM. Your Eniola is my immediate left. And then Tunde, you work. I saw you at the graduation. I thought you were somebody's daddy. I didn't realize. No, but you know, is addiction the end of the world? I know you tell me no, but how can you convince me that addiction is not the end of the world? Tell us your story.
My story proves that addiction is not the end of the world. Because if I put all the years together since I started to smoke cigarette.
You started with cigarettes?
I started with cigarettes until I met with Kadam. We'll be talking in the range of about 35, 37 years.
Wow.
And today, by the grace of God, I'm clean out.
You started with cigarette and then graduated to what?
I started to smoke cigarette when I was in the primary school.
Wow.
At about 10. As I left the primary school for the secondary school, I also graduated into smoking in marijuana because that was to help me wave off the bully of senior students then. Because they believe that once we do that, the senior students will leave us alone. I did that until I left secondary school and got into the university. The Ahmadu Bello University is there then. And then on this fateful day, we were celebrating one of my friends who was deported from America, and we threw a party at least to welcome him. And in the course of the party, I saw that some people were going into an inner room. And
that's the inner
room. I
room.
wanted to know what exactly, why they were leaving us and they were going somewhere else. And I was told that that inner room is meant for big boys. I felt, well, I'm also a big boy. And whatever it takes me to get in there, I want to be a part of it.
What was it that took you? Cocaine or?
So that was the day when I was allowed in, I saw that they were doing crack cocaine. And I pretended as if I had known it all along because I didn't want them to feel that I was not a big boy. So that was when I got involved in smoking.
But you managed to graduate? You graduated from school?
No, I did not, because I became a member of a court group while in school.
Wow.
And I did that for a while. So
you did that for a while, like it's a job?
Did that
like
for a while. And that took me out of school. And I didn't go back because when I left, in the interim that I left, I got introduced into some
harder
crimes
stuff.
And I was getting money. And I believed that there was no point going back to school, because even if after graduating, I'll have to look for work that would earn money. And already I'm making money. So I felt there's no need, and I didn't go. Cocaine is expensive. And it's, the more money you have, the more you consume, and the more the craving to consume more.
So there's no end to it.
So
you became addicted.
I became so addicted, and that made me to also graduate, even in terms of my criminal
there's something worse than cocaine.
endeavors and all of that. But in the process, I met Kadam.
Did they find you at a joint?
No. In my own case, I wanted to dupe somebody. Because in the process, I was I was a fraudster.
That's Yahoo now.
No, I became a fraudster. I was into money doubling, wash, 419, and all of that stuff. So I went to meet somebody who I wanted to make my prospective client, and I didn't know what happened that day. The man looked at me and said, this was not what I was supposed to be doing, that I should be doing something better than this. Do I smoke or drink? And while talking with me, I saw that there were tears running out of his eyes. So that broke me down, that you've not known me before. How can you, what's the problem? He said he was crying for me. I said, no. It was in the process we got speaking, and I opened up to him that I was on drugs. I take all stuff. So he now found out and introduced me to Kadam.
Okay, I must hear Fumi's Eniola story before we go. I didn't know women can get addicted too.
Yeah.
Now you run the women's arm of
Kadam. I also started with cigarettes before I graduated to...
Listen, cigarettes.
Yeah, through my friends. I don't know if I'm permitted to sing.
Sing, go ahead.
You know my song with...
Yes, sing. Sing, go ahead.
Hallelujah is the Lord. Hallelujah, He's the Lord. Hallelujah, He's the Lord. To Him be the glory evermore.
You're a singer.
To Him be the glory evermore. I was so far away from the truth. I was on my own thinking I was doing the right thing. Smoking my Igbo, taking my shepe, until when I come to see the Christ abuse. Hallelujah.
So that summarizes your story.
Until when I met with Christ against drug abuse ministry, my life was hopeless.
How would you describe this man?
He's a father. He's a visionary. He's a man that gives hope to an hopeless. In fact, he was sent by God to us that are hopeless.
But I wonder, don't you worry about the fact that 23 years after, you guys are still in one tattered building in, I mean, what's happening?
You see, I worry about it. It bothers me. And I've made in my life ambition that, look, I'm not going to rest until we have a suitable place.
How much do you...
Look, we have an agricultural design already. Less than 2 billion, we build the whole enterprise and even equip it. And I don't know why it's difficult for anyone to catch it.
Yeah, but what's the thing is a church ministry? Why can't the church build it? That's what people will be saying.
I don't want to struggle with church. Church
started it?
Yes, church started it. But, also just like Nigeria, the church has a different vision now. And I've said it, until we go back to the primary responsibility of the church, people like us will suffer and struggle.
So for now, interested individuals can support you?
Oh, they can. They can, absolutely. Look, if I find today someone, let's say, celebrating his 80th or something, I want to leave a legacy, and it comes to be that, I can rest back and say, thank God for this person. Honestly, that is a place that people like this have come out. And you saw people on Sunday.
They did.
And for me, I do not understand why people who even have seen it or who have heard me talk about it don't feel compelled to do it. But it just speaks to the kind of Nigerians, the kind of people we are in Nigeria. One, we don't believe there's a problem until it hits us personally. And then people will be running, what can we do for you? I think there must be a spirit in us that just gives because we should give, because it's just the right thing to do.
So for you, you would have succeeded as a leading light if you had been able to get Nigerians to see that they can do their own contribution to changing lives.
Absolutely. That would be, for me, it. For just Nigerians to have a different look at what neighborliness means, not your direct neighbor. But look, you know what I say to people? You see people on this, you call them area boys. They're a danger to us. In the sense that I said to a friend of mine, you have 2 kids in school in England. If they come on a holiday and one of these boys shoot them on Akpongong, your life is done. And that's the way I think Nigerians should, even look for anything, for selfish reasons.
Very quickly, as I round up today, I want you to give me one last word from each of you to people who are watching today. What would you say?
The society, the people watching should not criminalize somebody who is addicted. You may have a choice on the onstart, but by the time it gets hooked, it's no longer a choice, and it needs to be helped.
Final words, Eniola, or you want to sing your final words?
No. I want to tell, especially the youth out there, that any choice you made have consequences, and you'll definitely pay for it.
And I must say bye-bye to my last leading light on this edition. He has been able to transform more than 1,000 lives with his team at the instance of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, but truly it's beyond any church because they've helped all kinds of people. And we are saying today that you also can be a leading light. At least you can start with the lives of these people. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again next week.
Oh, no, no, to drugs. Ah, yes, to Jesus. Life's like a vapor that vanishes. Take it today. Tomorrow may not come. Hard rock takers are in trouble. Youth of today, please be noble. If you take drug, you will surely fumble. Cause you will lose your track and you will stumble. They are in the valley of death, under the shadow of threats. Coke heroin is their master. They are